Obviously this weekend was a rough one. There's a lot of good things from it. I think Sunday just left a sour taste in all of our mouths. So I think for me, our pitching has been really good this year, and this weekend it was not good. I mean, that's just straight up. And so, we're allowed to have those. I wish we would all not be on a bad weekend together, but I guess let's get it out. But we're going to have some good bullpens. The good thing is we get back up on the horse, right? I mean, that's, I think, the biggest thing is we get back out there, we get out there and compete. So obviously La Tech, they're a great team, and we're going to come out here tomorrow night and get after it. And then we get a day of practice and we head out to Kentucky, which they're having a phenomenal year. But, this is the part of the year where you just play softball. You get to get out there, you get, work on some things, here and there, but we'll get some good bullpens in. We're making some adjustments bullpen-wise. I think that's the other thing. And Matt and I talked about this a little bit when we were on the road a bit. I will always tinker, and what I mean by that is, when you have a weekend like that, it's like, okay, let's go back to the drawing boards. Let's see there's some things that maybe we can modify and get better at. They're well aware that this weekend didn't go well, but I was really happy and excited about our fight on Friday and Saturday. I mean, we're a couple pitches away from winning those games, and so we're right there. I do think Georgia, we'll see by the end of the year where they end up, but they can swing it, man. I mean, 1 through 9, they can take the ball out of the park. And if you can hit a ball out of this park, you can hit a ball out of most parks. So excited to play Kentucky and La Tech, yes.
So what about, Trisha, you win 2 games at Arkansas. It doesn't really get much better than that. Then you come home and lose the 3 home openers, which doesn't get much worse. So in the SEC, do you feel you're back to square one or not?
I don't know that I feel like we're back to square one. I feel like we just have a lot of growth still to happen, honestly. We have a very young squad. I've been super impressed, though. If you look at Keely Williams and Amari Harper and what they're doing, I mean, they're getting so much better. And everybody in this room has seen us from the beginning of the year and where they're at now, and so they're getting better. I don't know. I just think it was kind of a Jekyll and Hyde weekends, to be honest with you. And I've said this before, I'm still trying to figure out who we are. And I think they're still trying to figure out who we are. And so I know we are not the team that showed up on Sunday. That I feel very confident that that's not who we are. And I feel like we're close. We really are on the cusp of being consistent. And here's the other thing that, again, this program, we're not used to kind of getting some attention and feeling we're a top 25 program. I think there's a little pressure and a little newness with that, and I want us to learn how to play with that on our back, because everybody that we play in the SEC is a top 25 program for the most part. And so I want us to be in that, and I want us to know how to play with that kind of, stigma or label, whatever you want to call it. And so I just feel like we were super inconsistent. If you look at those games, if you look at the Arkansas series and you look at the Georgia series, I think offensively we took how we finished that Arkansas series and we took that into Friday and Saturday's game. Sunday looked more like Friday, but we didn't take our pitching. So, they're 18-22, and, we had a rough weekend. But here's the thing, last weekend doesn't mean anything now. It's on to La Tech and it's on to Kentucky, and that's really my message to them is learn, get better from it, don't let it happen again, but it's time to roll.
Do you think that just takes time after not having that kind of success last season, where now you guys, you're right, you're a top 25 team, and so do you think that kind of just takes time for them to go, but we belong here, and this is Texas A&M softball?
I do, 100%, and I feel like even just talking to them, I think sometimes we forget that they are kids. They're quote unquote adults, they're not, and they're kids, and so they're always questioning themselves, and I tell them, I'm an old cranky person, and I'm just get off social media, get off, your circle in season should get smaller and smaller and smaller. Only those people that are helping you succeed in life should be who you care about. I don't care if we're ranked 100, I don't care if we're ranked 15th. It really doesn't matter. And so really teaching them and living that, I think, is going to take us a little bit.
And then how do you think with like this midweek game coming up that better prepares you guys for your trip to Kentucky?
Well, I hope what it does is gives us a little confidence going into Kentucky. But here's the thing. These midweeks are always like, they could be a blessing and they can be a curse, And so it's really going to be whether or not we can bounce back from Sunday's game and show up, because La Tech will beat us. Like, if we don't show up tomorrow, they will absolutely beat us. And so it's whether or not, I'm interested to see what our focus will look like. That's something that we kind of harp hard on, is just like our focus and attention to detail, what it looks like tomorrow. Because if we don't come out ready, and if practice today is not great, it'll be a tough one. So I think for me, what you can do is take tomorrow night's game and take it to get back onto the right track, get back into kind of doing things the Aggie softball way, and then taking that into the weekend. So hopefully we use it and we play our game, and it kind of, propels us into the weekend.
You said the energy was flat on Sunday.
Ugh, yes.
Is that you either have it or you don't? So how do they? Are they hungry to bring it back, or how do you kind of pull it out of them?
Oh, they have it. I felt like, and I felt like you could probably feel it in the stands. Like, it just kind of felt like the air was taken out of us. And so really it's about figuring out how to find that extra gear. Like, you always have that extra gear. And if you talk to anybody that does, this is not an extreme sport, but you think about football, the fourth quarter or overtime, or basketball, every sport has an aspect of it where you just have to gut it out. And we did not gut it out. I'm just being honest. And so, for me, that's okay. What do we have to do? We looked at some of the data of kind of stresses of Friday and Saturday's game and where we were on Sunday. And so there's some adjustments we're going to do to practice to kind of simulate some of that. And I mean, they've gotten good rest. They're, all of the things that we can kind of control. And at some point you have to buckle up and be like, I am not allowing this to happen. But that mentality takes a little time to kind of develop. So I think we're still in the process of getting there.
So you look at Kentucky, they're a little bit like Georgia. Look at their stats. They got 6 really good batters, and they've got 2. They basically rely on 2 pitchers. One of them has done a complete Bob face from last year. She's improved so much. So what about that challenge? They're somewhat like Georgia a little bit.
Yeah, they don't have. Yeah, I was like, they don't have the power that Georgia does, and I think that's Georgia could. I mean, they were check swinging balls. I mean, they're strong. They're different. Kentucky is more they're a left-handed dominated lineup, and they're more of a doubles and singles lineup. So that piece is a little bit different. I think the left-handedness is also going to work into our favor. But yes, I mean, they're a top 10 program. I mean, everything's hard from here on out, but that's kind of the chess match, right? Of going into conference of they've seen us, we've watched film, they've watched film, how do we match up? The thing about, I think, that we can't do with Kentucky is I think all the little things that we kind of did wrong this weekend, Kentucky will take advantage of that in a different way. I felt like Georgia took advantage of our pitching mistakes and they hit them out of the park. I think Kentucky will take advantage of some of our miscues or misalignments a little bit more. They're a little bit more craftier, I would say, on the bases, a little bit more speed.
I was about to ask you about pitching and mistakes. It felt like from where we were watching that Georgia was punishing every single mistake that was made. Did you see that on film? And if so, what can help? That can be a source of growth for the pitching staff, I would assume, too.
Yeah, I think, I talked to Levitt and Shaley a little bit in detail today, because this is our first day that we get them back, the good news is it's not like they're hitting your good stuff. So but the bad news is we had way too much not breaking over the heart of the plate. We're not going to win a lot of ball games if we continue to do that. And so the thing is really controlling, being able to make in-game adjustments would probably be my best thing, whether that be mentally or even physically. And so when we're in the bullpen, they're able to kind of they're able to be a little bit more professional, is what I would say, or non-emotional, and make those adjustments. I felt like the games this weekend, some of the responses I was getting was things that are just like meaning that it's moving too fast. And when you say like I can't feel my body, like yes you can. Like, and so that's just that growing up and maturing and being like, hey, find your center here. What's going on out there, and what's your hand doing? Because the ball's never going to lie, and that's one of my things that I say a lot time. Like, well, what's the ball doing? Because if the ball is doing this, then that means from a body-wise or from a mechanics position, you're doing this. And so just being able to take that in-game information and apply it to make adjustments is going to be huge for us.
What about a real quick scouting report on Louisiana Tech?
Yeah, they're just scrappy. Like they're a team that obviously does really well in their conference. They have a lot of different arms. So they have I think 5 different pitchers, maybe 6. They got a little speed at the top end of their lineup, and then just some right-handed hitters. They only have about 3 I think consistent lefties in their lineup. 2 of them of which will slap. So one more primarily bunts than slap. So they're coached well. I think they did really well in conference last year. So they're again, that's going to be if we can get this win, that's going to be a good win for us because they're going to do well in their conference. They're doing well right now. So I don't know. I'm excited to get back out there. I need to get this taste out of my mouth. So yes, my family would appreciate us. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Coach.
All right. Thank you.